Let's talk about an awards nomination, Luke, first of all, shall we? I know you're getting used to them by now, but these things never get boring, do they?
No, it's nice, isn't it? But yeah, it's not the be all and end all. I think, but yeah, it's very flattering.
And it's about the team and the club and the start that you've made to the season, isn't it, generally speaking?
No, that's true. I think that's what the nomination represents more than anything else is the amount of hard work that's gone into the early the early stages of the season from a lot of people. So no, I agree with that, and we take some pride in that.
What do you, from the start of this season, take most pride in, most pleasure in when you look at that first month in League Two?
I think the resilience of the players after a really harrowing start to then have the form that they've had. I think that gives me a lot of faith in the group that that resilience that we saw last season. And like I've said many times, I think people maybe would be it would be understandable if people felt like we had an easy season last season, but we really didn't. It was so tough, so many competitive teams, and so many smart managers that set the teams up really well. A lot of good players, so we overcame a lot of stuff, but maybe didn't always look like we had. But this beginning of this season was so obvious that is a problem that needs to be overcome immediately, and the players done that. So that's the thing that's made me most happy.
I mean, a win anywhere is a win, and it's 3 points is 3 points is 3 points. But I wonder how pleased you are that in front of your own fans you've been emphatic so far this season as well, winning three from three.
I think that's a huge deal actually, because we kind of we're almost unique in terms of the passionate support that we get at home, and to not capitalise on that would be a big shame. So I think that the atmosphere for home games is a really strong atmosphere, and what I mean by that is I get the impression the opposition feel like the whole place is together. They have a feeling that we've been involved in games before where there's disengagement, and if you start the game well, the home fans will begin to actually apply pressure to their own team. With not deliberately, but just there's an anxiety there, and there's a lack of trust between the team on the pitch and the fans in the stands. But we don't have that. We have like this togetherness, and that really we should capitalise on that, and so far we have.
And you're sitting top of the league, and I know it's very early on in the season and everything else, but there were fans leaving last weekend and talking about that, and every Notts fan I've spoken to this week has talked about that, and that's important, isn't it? Having that kind of pride around the place and hearing people shout about Notts County.
Well, yeah, I mean, we certainly would rather be at that end than anywhere else, and we have a group now that are used to having that pressure. They've had almost an entire season, as you know, being top or second, and that's a pressure that you have to become accustomed to and deal with. And so I'm pleased that we've had that journey together. So many of the players, and now we're top of the league, and I don't think that people in the camp feel stressed about that in any way. And now we have an incredibly tough challenge in front of us to try and do our very best to remain there, and we know it's gonna take a remarkable effort to do that.
Well, I remember speaking to you last week and asking if it was a bit of a step up to taking on Accrington because they'd started the season so well, and now you go away from home to the team in second. So the same question remains really: is this kind of the next step up in terms of a test for you? Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that all the teams that we've played have been very good, and we've noticed an increase in the quality from last season. That's for sure. But I think it's fair to say that Accrington were very, very good, and we had a very tough game against them. And now we know that the chances are that we're going to face an even tougher opponent in MK Dons, particularly away from home. So if we want to be taken seriously, we're going to have to go there and make a really good performance.
Best of luck with it, Luke. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Notts TV.
Brilliant. Yeah, great. Hi, Luke.
Hello.
Wanted to start firstly on Jody Jones being called up to the Malta squad again. So how does that affect your plans for the next couple of games?
Yeah, I mean we're really pleased for Jody, but certainly is a loss for us. I think his performances, have been very good so far, and we would like to have every single option available, but we have a good squad of players, and people are ready to come in and fill that position.
And then obviously I know we touched on the fans there and the atmosphere that you get at Meadow Lane. I was reading an article earlier which puts Meadow Lane at like the second best average attendance in the league. How important is it for that fan support to build Meadow Lane as like somewhere difficult for other teams to come and play at?
It's crucial. It really is crucial, because if we want to try to make a really successful season again, we're playing against very tough opposition, and we need to believe. We need to have the whole stadium believes that we can, that we can have a good season, that we can compete. And so far, that's the overwhelming thing, is that you come to the stadium for a home game, and the feeling is that this whole entire club believes that that we can be successful together. So it's going to be crucial. And of course we have to maintain our level to help people to believe in us, to help the fans to believe in us and sing and make noise and to turn up every week. So it comes from us, of course, first and foremost. But if we can keep our level high and we can keep people engaged with us, I'm sure it's going to be a tough place for opponents to come.
Yeah, and then just finally from me, obviously top of the league at the moment. It is early days, but obviously this Saturday will be a big game, and if a win comes out of that, then do you start looking at yourselves as top of the league more than, and forget about it's early days, only a few games played, and do you then start to look at building that points gap at the top of the table?
Well, there's a lot of ifs there, and yes, if we win, it puts us in a good position, but there is just far too much football in front of us to start trying to work out what our future looks like. We have to concentrate on making good performances, and there is still improvement to be made for sure, because we've made too many mistakes, and we've failed to keep clean sheets too often, and we've failed to score some of the chances that we should have done, and so that there's still improvements to be made, but we would rather be in the top positions and trying our very best to stay there rather than anywhere else. We have a group that have that mentality, that are used to being at the top and the pressure that comes with being at the top, and we certainly don't want to shy away from that. We want to try to capitalise and build on that.
Brilliant. Thanks, Luke.
Thank you.
And finally, Sam.
Yeah, hi Luke.
Hello.
I already asked you about goal scorers last week, and you touched on wanting Maka to obviously continue his hot form from last season, and obviously then goes and scores two more scores his first home goals of the season against Acton on the weekend. I guess the question is, how good is it to have a focal point like him up top that brings so much energy and obviously the goal scoring as well?
Yeah, I like the way you've put it as well, because you put the energy first before the goals, and that's something that myself and Maka both agree that is a crucial part of what he gives to us, and having him is a real joy. I think if you ask anybody in football management if they would like a very potent striker that works relentlessly for the team, there won't be the one that says no. And So that's a huge blessing for us, and he's scored 2 goals against an extremely good side in the level. So that's made us feel very positive, and has made Macca feel very positive, and now we have to keep trying as a team to provide him the chances, and in return Macca will give absolutely everything he's got to work for the team, and that's a great partnership.
We were speaking to Dan Crowley there, and he was talking about how much he's enjoying his spell so far. I imagine it's a big positive as well that the new signings that have been able to play so far have fitted in so well.
Yeah, I think that there's probably somewhat of a shock at the beginning for maybe the new players, that so much of the work is defensive work, and there's a lot of running. I think probably something that surprises a lot of guys when they join, but Dan has adapted really brilliantly, and he's showing that he can score goals and that he can provide goals, and that he's prepared as well to put in the hard yards and harass people and make recovery runs and try to put his body on the line. So I think we're all very pleased with how he's settled in so far, and hope that he can actually improve as he goes along and feel more and more comfortable in the side.
It's like, thank you.
Thank you.
Couple from me, Luke, if you don't mind. But over 2,500 following you down to MK Dons on Saturday. Similar numbers to Donny, I would have thought, in the end. How much of an exciting factor is that for you this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, I've been there many times, having worked there. I think one season was during lockdown, so we didn't experience the stadium with spectators, but certainly it's an impressive arena, and the away section I think is still, I'm right in saying, is in the upper tier behind the goal in the corner. But I've seen some fantastic away followings there, making a lot of noise, and I think it's a fantastic view of the pitch. So I think the fans will enjoy that aspect of it, and I know that they'll make a lot of noise. So we look forward to seeing them there.
We did have some deadline day activity last week. Lewis Macari joining on loan from Stoke City. Just give us your view on that signing and what you've seen of him in the first few sessions that you've had with him.
Well, I think a tough, competitive guy. So sometimes the younger players can be something that develops later. That willingness to be physical and the concentration and so on, but looks to have those things already built into him, and he's adapted well in training, and we have no negative impressions of him at all positive, and of course has joined us very late, so we'll probably have to be patient to get some time on the pitch, and we have young Ollie as well. He's doing so great, and having of course to be patient is really difficult, but really both young players adapting really well with us, and I hope enjoying the experience of being with us.
With Ollie Tipton, obviously Geraldo being out potentially for the season, and he obviously covered centre half but also defensive midfield. I remember at the time when Ollie joined, I think he played quite a few games in defensive midfield for Wolves. Is that an area do you think he can provide cover in, do you think? Yeah,
I'm sure he could. I think that at the moment we have good options there. Jim has not been on the pitch as much as he would like, and Jim is a fantastic player, and he's capable of playing all over midfield, and John and Matty have put in very good performances, but I certainly believe he could adapt to that role if required, and that's the beauty of having a squad and having dynamic players in the squad, is that when we don't have the luxury that we had last season of being able to sign players at any point, we need to carry the extra players, and that can be very frustrating for people that are not picking up the minutes. But things change very quickly in football, and before you know it, players that felt a long way from the pitch are suddenly on the pitch a lot and crucial. So yes, I think he can adapt and he can play in more than one position.
Will Randall's one of those guys, a bit like Genie Marias, who'll be absolutely desperate to show what he can do in the black and white of Notts County. What's the latest with Will?
Yeah, he's now training fully, so that's great because he came through a couple of setbacks close together was difficult, but we got to the bottom of the problem, and now he's training fully. He's building up his resilience to training after quite a layoff, really, and he looked very sharp and training brilliantly today in 11v11. So hopefully we see he can make some appearances in the near future, and Junior as well, of course, because just worked incredibly hard, the guy, and such a great guy to be around everybody, never sulking, never down, but desperate to play.